Welcome back, college football fanatics. This is College Football with Sam, and before we begin, I want you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, share this video around, and also comment your prediction for this game, your prediction for Ohio State's season, and your thoughts on their performance against Akron in Week 1, and anything else you want to let me know down in the comments section below. I love interacting with you and other viewers and college football fans, and College Football with Sam prides itself on quality engagement, analysis, breakdowns, so on and so forth. You're going to enjoy it here, so subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell for your own benefit so that you can watch our content and get notified when it drops, and also so that when we reach 20,000 subscribers, you will have a chance to participate in our giveaway. But Ohio State football struggled against Akron in Week 1. I do not want to shy away from that. I got some pushback in my reaction video to that game saying I was too harsh on Ohio State, and I think there is some truth to that. After all, the Buckeyes won 52-6. They had 404 total yards to Akron's 177. They forced 3 turnovers. They had 2 defensive touchdowns. They more than doubled Akron's first down total. I will say, though, that Akron controlled the clock. They had 10 minutes of possession more than the Buckeyes did. And with Ohio State being a team that prides itself on physicality, that hired Chip Kelly and brought in Quinshon Judkins and Seth McLaughlin and Will Howard so they could run the ball and control the clock better, not necessarily a great first start. Of course, Ohio State, as I said several times in that video, is clearly a near elite team. They're one of the most talented teams, well-coached teams in all of college football. It's just that given the standard they have set for themselves, similar to Michigan in 2023, where after 2021 and 2022 success, the Wolverines really had nowhere to go in terms of improvement and reaching expectations than winning the national championship. With Ohio State bringing in the players they did, returning the players they have like Tui Moalau, Sawyer, Donovan Jackson, Travion Henderson, bringing back Igbuka, Denzel Burke, Lathan Ransom, Jordan Hancock, there is nowhere to go but them taking the next step compared to the prior 3 seasons, and that's beating Michigan, that's winning the Big Ten, that's winning a few playoff games. And you want to see improvement from the Akron game against bad teams and mediocre teams if Ohio State wants to be a team that maximizes its chances of beating Michigan, winning the Big Ten, winning a few playoff games. And while I don't think this is a national title or bust year for Ohio State, I've said that several times before, this team wants to and should desire and expect to win the national championship. They are that good. I personally think that Ohio State is going to play a better game this week than they did against Akron, and here's why. Western Michigan competed with Wisconsin. Now, I thought Wisconsin performed against Western Michigan in a similar way that Michigan did against Fresno State, or more so how Oregon did against Idaho. Yes, Oregon, Michigan, and also Wisconsin had their not-so-bright moments, but some people are overreacting to those Week 1 performances. Others are playing cognitive dissonance, which even though I'm a Michigan fan, I'm not going to do. You can't pretend that Michigan has a good QB situation. They don't. You can't pretend that Wisconsin didn't look very shaky with their identity on offense. And you can't pretend that Oregon doesn't have some serious issues at the line of scrimmage with depth, and also that they lack explosivity that they had last season. But I don't think those teams are bad either. I think Oregon's top 10, Michigan's top 10, and I think Wisconsin's top 30, top 25. But Western Michigan nearly upsetting the Badgers, taking that lead in the fourth quarter, I think put a team like Ohio State, who's well coached, who has one of the best coaches in the country, an elite head coach in Ryan Day and his staff, on notice. Western Michigan can run the football, and they do have a good enough offense to where they will make some plays. They're well coached enough, I think, to where they'll try in this game. But clearly Wisconsin was also their Super Bowl, so I don't know if they're going to bring the same level of A plus, A minus performance that I believe they brought against Wisconsin, one of the better opponents on their schedule. Ohio State's favored by 38 points. Line opened at 39. It's come down a little bit. And when Ohio State last played the Broncos, they beat them 38-12 in 2015. A 2015 team that, like this year's team, returned a lot of production from the prior year's team. But 2015 Ohio State was sluggish. They were very inefficient with what they brought back. And you don't want that to be the same case this year for a team that returns a lot like the 2015 team did. And I think that Day has actually done a better job than Urban has at maintaining this program and better accessing its ceiling. More importantly, perhaps, raising its floor. Ohio State doesn't lose or even play competitively for 4 quarters with these lower level teams. So part of me is a little shocked that it's only in the high 30s here. In the preseason, I had Ohio State winning this game by 60 points. I mean, that's kind of how I thought Ohio State would beat Akron as well, by upper 40s, 50, 60 points. And they came close to covering the spread against the Zips. So we'll have to see how this game goes. But Western Michigan is going to be, I think, a better team than Akron. But there's also the question of if Ohio State is well coached, and I think they are, if they're going to be healthier. Donovan Jackson was out in that game. That's why the offensive line looked a little shaky, or at least shakier than expected, and Ryan Day pointed that out. The defensive line was rotating. You could tell that the defense, with the fact that they forced more turnovers than was typical for them in a game last season, that I think they're trying to be a little more aggressive, but it's also a week 1 opponent. It's a scrub opponent in Akron, so you're not trying to show your hand either. I think the biggest question for Ohio State in this game is offensive consistency. Will it flourish? Will Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith and Travion Henderson, Judkins, and the O-line in the first snap of the game, will you see good execution? And in that drive, will they be able to go on like a 10-play, 75-yard drive and immediately punch it in? How many 3-and-outs will there be? Will there be any 3-and-outs before the first half? Who knows? But the goal should be 4 quarters of consistency offensively. Ohio State, after all, is still the number 2 team in the country, 1-0. Western Michigan is 0-1. The Broncos were able to bring the heat on Wisconsin, getting 261 total yards, and they had a lot more success in the ground game, where they averaged 3.6 yards per carry, had 2 rushing touchdowns there. Their main back, Jalen Buckley, had 64 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. But Western Michigan's defense, they also got a sack, 5 TFLs, 6 passes defended, and Tyler Van Dyke was 21 of 36 for 192, averaged 5.3 yards per pass attempt. Will Howard against Akron was 17 of 28. He completed about 60% of his passes, 8.1 yards per pass attempt, had 3 touchdowns, had a better game than Van Dyke did. A better game for sure, but also against an opponent that may be better, not just offensively, but could also be better defensively, and he has a better receiver core. What I'm saying is you want to see less drops, you want to see more accuracy from Howard, you just want to see the offense look better overall, particularly at the lines of scrimmage compared to last week. So that is an area where you want to pay attention to his offense. I think Ohio State's defense, as was the case against Akron, will be really good. They'll bring the heat. The only thing defensively that there may be a question with, or there may be an area you want to look at with a microscope, is the defensive line. Akron was 2 of 3 on 4th down conversions. Akron was able to, at times, run the ball modestly well for a MAC school against Ohio State's defensive line. How does Ohio State's defense handle Western Michigan's rushing attack? Do they shut them down? Are there issues with short yardage but a complete limit of explosive plays like last year's run defense and the run defense against Akron? We'll just have to see. I ultimately think that Ohio State is going to, as I said a few minutes ago, have a better game against Western Michigan than they did against Akron. I do think that Ohio State is not satisfied with their performance last week. Ryan Day himself alluded to that, especially in the first half when Ohio State was only up 17-3. I think that Ohio State here will win 56-10. I do think Western Michigan will be able to utilize their run game and pass game a little bit, to whether it's all in the first half, all in the second half, or a little bit of a balance, score some points throughout the game, but not many points because Ohio State's defense is one of the best in the country. Ohio State's offense, on the other hand, will answer questions. I think the O-line will look better. I think Howard and the receivers, every game they play, they will build infinitely more chemistry because there is newness there with, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith. You saw some drops from Jeremiah Smith, but he got way better as the game went on. It's going to be the same thing with Will Howard. Those newer players who weren't in starting roles last year or who even weren't on the team, they're going to look way better as the season goes on. I think Ohio State wins, covers 56-10. Again, looking at the defense, something that I want to see from the defense is holding Western Michigan to nothing on fourth down. Western Michigan had to go for it a few times against Wisconsin on fourth down. They had a successful 4th and goal conversion attempt. They were 2 of 4 overall on fourth down. The college football universe is getting more aggressive in terms of schematics. You saw that even against Boston College with Florida State, how they went for it on their own side of the field. I know that was desperation, but even these smaller schools, I was seeing this with North Dakota against Iowa State, are willing to go for it. Everyone now in college football is willing to go for it on fourth down if they think it benefits them, or even if it's just they're getting blown out, but they want some useful practice. I'm curious to see how Ohio State's defense handles fourth down, especially 4th and short. But I think 56-10, Ohio State wins, they cover, and it'll be a pretty vanilla game. I don't think that Chip Kelly and Ryan Day are going to be showing much of their cards until maybe Michigan State, maybe Iowa, if they have to break them out. But even then, I really think it's going to be Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, where you're going to see this offense hit its ceiling, try to hit its ceiling. They'll have a better performance here against Western Michigan than they did against Akron last weekend. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Remember again to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment your thoughts down below. Thank you to my Patreon members for sponsoring this video and channel. And just on a programming note, my Patreon lists, the shout-out list that you see at the end of every video, will be updated every week. So if you just joined this week, it'll be updated in the next few days. Just wanted to let you know on a programming note, because I expect throughout the fall that there will be many people joining, and I don't want to have to update it like every day if it comes to that. If you want to get access to my weekly live streams on Patreon, where I'm going to pick one game that I'll announce on YouTube, where I'll be live reviewing it, color commentary, play-by-play. If you want access to that on Patreon, sign up as an All-American or Heisman member. All-American's $10 a month, Heisman's $25. If you sign up as a Heisman, you'll get an additional bonus of after 6 months of membership, you get free signed College Football with Sam merchandise. Thanks to Crash2488 and Brasco Rascal for being Heisman members. Thanks to Chris Lane, Honolulu OH, Ismar, and Tyler Nye for being All-American members. And thanks to John Lynn, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Sale, Austin Christmas, and Shanisha Cockrell for being all-conference members. If you just want to support the channel and have your name shouted out, that's where the $5 all-conference membership is useful for you. No bonus content, but your name gets featured, and you get an extra thank you for supporting the channel. If you just want to buy my merchandise with no membership attached, visit my merchandise store, which you can find along with my Patreon page via the links in the description and down below in the pinned comment. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you all very soon, and go Buckeyes.